So you've mentioned regulators, you've mentioned infrastructure providers, there's obviously the end consumer that needs to get, and all of these across borders, right? So like you mentioned, there's different, almost rule books in different places that you're playing in. So that's one end of the spectrum, which I believe as an outsider looking into the industry is very slow moving. At the other end of the spectrum is we talked about technology that's moving faster than ever. So how do you balance both of these worlds in
the regulatory world and the...
Yes, which is like they almost seem to be moving at different
So
speeds.
I look at regulations as the spirit of the rules. The spirit of the rule is investor protection, AML, making sure you're dealing with the correct counterparties. So when we enter a country, we approach it from, look, the regulation may not be clear. It doesn't mean you take advantage of that, because at the end of the day, we have to operate globally. So what are the best standards around the world? And we embed that in our technology and in our processes at the onset, whether or not the regulation even is caught up or not.
I see.
And so one of the things we do is with my regulatory team is I say, okay, find the hardest country, the country where the strictest rules, most clearly spelled out, right? And let's then bring that standard to the table. We have very close relationship with regulators around the world because they see us as a firm that when we come to that market, we're bringing what we think, at least what we've experienced as best practices. They can be localized and changed and modified. But the regulator appreciates that because a lot of other firms will go to a market that has low regulation to take advantage of the fact that there's low regulation. We don't do that. We want to operate at the best standards so that if a regulator from any of our other countries, remember, we're in the cross-border business, right? So let's say the US it's not always the case, believe it or not. There's other markets that are more strict than the US. But let's assume the US is the strictest market. The last thing I want is for my US regulator, because I'm doing business in the United States, to say, hey, what are you doing over here in Thailand that if you were a US broker, you wouldn't be allowed to do that, right? And I'm saying, well, if I'm not allowed to do it as a US firm in the US, then I shouldn't want to do it that way in Thai or any other market that I'm in. And that's worked very well for us. It's given us a very strong reputation with the regulators